Hello everyone! In my previous sketching videos, I showed you a lot of struggles. This video will be completely opposite. This is going to be a video about my sketching sessions in Ghent and Bruges, where everything went smoothly, everything was on time, and everything was just what I was needing. So for my first sketch, I chose this fascinating historic view at the quay of Ghent. I was just drawn to the view of the shapes of the facades and the ornaments on them and the tower between. These silhouettes gave me so much pleasure to look at, and I really like good silhouettes. The other thing that I was really drawn to is the difference between those buildings. They look very similar at first sight, and they look like great together. But at the same time, look at them. They are really different. They were couple hundred years apart from each other, so they are completely different styles, and it shows through the ornaments and all the details and shapes. And it was so interesting to draw two such similar but such different buildings together. At the very beginning of my drawing process, I realized that my mechanical pencil is very much close to its end. I don't have any additional graphite with me, and I don't know if there will be enough graphite in my pencil to finish the drawing. I decided that it should just go as it is, and I will see how far it will let me draw. To my surprise, the pencil ran out of the graphite just by the time I was about to finish the drawing, so it had just the perfect amount of graphite. Let me tell you a little bit more about the technique that I later usually use at my sketching session. First of all, I need to tell you that unlike at my studio drawing session, when I sketch outside, I prefer the simplified version of my style, because usually I don't want to rush anything. I don't want to have any additional stress, and I want to focus mainly on the subject of my drawing and not to think too much about the possibility of mistakes and not to think much about what am I doing. So usually, at least lately, I use only like 3 materials. At first I draw the first sketch with a simple mechanical graphite pencil, then I use my acrylic markers, and then colored pencils. I use my markers as the base. I always start the coloring process with the markers because I can color big blocks with them. I usually color big shapes and silhouettes with them, so it's like my first layer. In my opinion, and this is the most important part of the whole sketching process, because it's with those shapes the composition comes together, and the composition, in my opinion, is one of the most important part of the drawing, if not the most important. Also, this is a very rough perception of value, which is the second most important thing of the drawing, in my opinion. So with this step, I do all of the important moves of the drawing. And also I start to place some rough bigger details with markers. And then comes the color pencil step. This is the stage when it all comes together. I use the color pencils for 3 things. Firstly, I add some texture. Secondly, I kinda correct the colors and add value. And the third, probably the most pleasing part, because this elevates the look of the picture a lot. So the third step is adding details. This stage can be the fastest, when adding literally just a few lines bring the whole image together, but not this time. Oh, look at how the blue pencil literally brings the windows of this building to life. This was probably my favorite moment of the entire sketching process this time. Anyway, there was such a vast number of details on these facades that the pencil face actually ended up being the longest of all. To be honest, I really enjoyed the process. It was a true meditation, almost like a trance, but I might have overdone it. Fine details are tricky. If you add too few, the drawing looks dull, but if you overdo it, it can lose its freshness. And look at the final result. I am quite happy with that. No, I'm lying. I'm very happy with that. It's one of my favorite sketches of this journey. I'm proud. I hope you like it too. And after I finished the drawing, I went to the nearest store with some stationery and bought the cheapest mechanical pencil they had because I needed more graphite pencil for my future drawings. After Ghent, we went to the Bruges, one of the most fascinating and picturesque towns on the planet, in my opinion, and I made some sketches there too, of course. Let's dive right into the pencil drawing process. As I've said before, I usually start with the graphite pencil drawing. This is the phase when I measure the proportions of the subject, place the subject on the paper when I wanted it to be. Now I show you how my measuring process goes. Usually when you want to draw something rather realistically, you found some part of this object and just count the amount of times this part can fit in the other parts. Like with the human body, we usually measure it with the size of a head. It's the most useful tool. The head is useful too, for sure. But when you draw the other object, you should find something that is convenient for you in the moment to be your meter, the measurement. So that's what I do first of all. So a little bit on the color. The statue is green, bluish green or something, but I don't have anything close. So I'm gonna use this greenish yellow and gray for the lights and the blue or bluish gray for the shadows. And this kinda will create the illusion of the green statue. But honestly, I don't mind it's not to be the right color. I usually don't care about the color being realistic. I care about the right color combination, the right color palette that I choose, and I care about the value. Usually I just use the colors that I have and I just choose the closest value to what I need, and it worked for me perfectly well. Yes. By the way, the beginning of my sketching process this time came with a little story. I really wanted to draw this statue from this exact viewpoint because I saw this peculiar shape from this angle, and it was the most interesting for me personally to draw it this way. All the other angles were a little dull for me, more boring, so I really wanted to draw it from this point. And there was a really nice bench, but unfortunately it was occupied. All the other bench around it were also occupied, but one, and it was the most unfortunate angle ever. I hated it. I waited a little bit, but it was still occupied. So at that point, I was actually ready to give up, and I had two options basically: to draw the statue from the unfortunate angle, or to choose some other subject for the sketching. But fortunately, just as I sat on another bench, the bench that I wanted, the people from this bench just went away. My bench that I needed was mine for this time, and I was able to draw exactly what I wanted to draw. I look so unhappy at this video. I guess this called resting bitch face or Slavic stare or something. When my face is relaxed, it looks like I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm really happy at this moment. Actually, I'm satisfied with the way things goes. But this is how my face operates, I guess. Sorry. So this is my final result. I am still very satisfied with it. It was a very lovely moment on a bench in a very sunny and warm day in Bruges. After this sketch, we went home. Our trip to Belgium was over. But now, take a look again to the both of my sketches, and from Ghent and from Bruges. I was happy making them, and I am happy now looking at them. I hope you like it too. If you like this video, consider subscribing. There will be more videos like this. Bye!